The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. On that beautiful note, I, Dr. Nidhi Srivastav, Associate Professor, IIEBM, welcome you back for one more interesting session of IIEBM Induction Program for Batch 21-23. Before introducing the guest, very quickly, I will brief you about the flow of the session. Session will be of 1 hour 15 minutes. Where first 55 minutes will be knowledge sharing and rest 20 minutes will be for question and answer. You can type your question in the chat box that will be addressed at the end of the session. Well, do you know there is an emerging concept which encourages better stewardship of our ocean or blue resources? Yes, and this concept is known as blue economy. Well, our next speaker will help us understand the blue economy in depth. So without wasting much time, I would like to welcome our today's guest, Mr. Praful Talera. Sir has an experience of 35 years in the supply chain management and logistics industry. He co-founded and built Dynamic Logistics with his father and late brother from a modest beginning to enjoy the first mover advantage in the Indian logistic industry. Dynamic Logistics is the pioneer of the third-party logistics concept in India, and its claim to fame is having introduced the just-in-time inventory system in Tata Motors, building a great DNA in his contribution to dynamic logistics, and his vision is to build dynamic logistics into an institution. A product of the Port of Singapore, Sir has undergone training in CFS management at Tanjong Pagar, Port of Singapore in 1986. Sir has traveled widely across the world to 48 countries in various Indian delegations. Education is a passion with him, and he has been invited for TEDx event in Mumbai and has been a guest faculty at IIMA, the Johnson Business Schools at Cornell University, the University of Warwick, Babson College in Boston, MIT, Symbiosis, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Indian National Bar Association, and other educational institutions, besides social and cultural organizations like Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and various Rotary clubs. Sir has been an athlete and footballer during his school and college days, and is now an ultra-marathoner and avid trekker who has summited Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. So without taking much time, let us start this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored for you to give me this opportunity for sharing my perspective and to speak about the blue economy. Presently, I am an advisor at the Maritime Research Center in Pune, which was started by Dr. Commander Arnab Das, who is from the Indian Navy, and he has done his PhD in IIT Delhi on signal processing and acoustics. Dr. Das and me, we met about 4 years ago when he started this think tank. I call it a startup think tank, which is works to progress the underwater domain awareness, the UDA framework, as it is called. And it's been a very, very satisfying journey for the last 4 years in trying to build this very new concept about the UDA framework, in sensitizing people, in building capacity in this country. Yeah. So, Dr. I just building a context for the presentation. So, I've been working very closely under the guidance of Dr. Das. He's a very young naval officer who has worked for 26, 27 years in the Navy, out of which he spent 7 years in IIT Delhi doing his MTech and PhD in underwater domain. And he is the gentleman who built the underwater the sonar classifier for the INS Aryan, most lethal weapon in the Indian armory, our nuclear submarine. The inspiration for Dr. Das to build the sonar classifier came from the Ganga dolphin. So he is a very unique person in the sense that he has learned from nature, been inspired by nature to build something for underwater warfare, like for the INS Aryan, nuclear submarine. So I was approached by him 4 years ago to be an advisor on the advisory panel for the blue economy. My education about the blue economy started a few years ago when I had attended a conference where Dr. Ashok Khosla of the IUCN, one of the most prominent environmentalists of India, made a presentation, and Mr. Gunther Pauli was here in India. The person who came up with this idea of the blue economy. The concept of the blue economy was put forward by Gunther Pauli in 1994, and he spelled out what the future of the world should be. See, we as human beings are on the verge of the sixth major extinction. There have been five major extinctions on this earth before. That's what is believed and scientifically proven, that there have been five major mass extinctions earlier, and which were caused due to natural reasons. But this sixth major mass extinction could be caused by human beings. The way we live, our lifestyles are very consumptive, very highly wasteful lifestyle. The Western model of development, which is very extractive and very exploitative. So now this is totally unsustainable. The way the world is going, the way we humans are, the pandemic has made us aware of so many things, which was caused by a virus. I mean, the man as conqueror, we believe that man has been able to conquer nature, but we've just realized in a very sad blow dealt by the virus that we have to live in harmony with the nature. One small tiny virus, which is not visible to the naked eye, can ground the whole world, right? So, and it has highlighted so many things, that the way we live, it is a totally unsustainable way of life. We don't need so many things. Our wants are so many more than our needs. We just realize how little we need actually. This pandemic, this COVID-19 I'm making this presentation to you in the virtual format. Otherwise, we would have met. But yes, now what we need to do going forward is, how do we reduce the carbon footprint? The carbon footprint in the world, each of us have to reduce our carbon footprint, because the world's temperatures, as we are going, is rising to to a level where it might cause a global meltdown of the polar caps, of the sea rising. There were recent photographs of NASA having sent satellite photographs where it shows that 12 cities of India might not exist by 2050 or something. Like the way the sea levels are rising because of all the pollution we are creating. The oceans are getting acidified. The whole marine fauna and flora is under huge threat of extinction. And if the oceans don't survive, we won't survive, because 72% of the Earth's surface is the ocean. So this is how the idea of the blue economy was born. So blue economy is a sustainable ocean coastal economy which emerges when economic activity is in balance with the long-term capacity of ocean and coastal ecosystem to support this activity and remain resilient and healthy. Now, these are a few definitions of the blue economy. There is another definition of the blue economy. What is a blue economy? The ocean is the best source or energy consumption for energy consumption. Now, most of our countries are trying to make sure the maximum use of the ocean for being the sustainable economy development. As their economy is now becoming beset on the ocean, which color is blue. That's why the ocean is based. An oceanic-based economy is called the blue economy. Not just because the color of the ocean, This is what is one concept. See, today we are in a brown economy. If you allow me another definition of the blue economy, we are in a brown economy, and everyone wants to make it a green economy where we want to reduce the pollution. There are all sorts of pollution, the plastic pollution, all the fossil fuels, all the carbon dioxide we put out there in the air. The air quality index has really suffered. People, I'm making this presentation to you from Delhi, and the air quality index in Delhi is one of the poorest in the country and maybe in the world. Now, out of the top 10 cities, the most polluted cities in the world, 8 are in India. Earlier, we thought during the Beijing Olympics, the Chinese had more cities than us. Today, it is we who are ahead of the Chinese in a wrong sense in polluting our cities. So we need to clean up our act. So the blue economy is it means a whole lot of things to a whole lot of people. There is offshore oil and gas, pipelines, ferries, cruises, wind power, whales, tourism, wave power, tidal waves, aqua farming, seafood, fisheries, subsea, clean sea, desalination plants, where you can make water out of fresh drinking water out of the sea, marine infrastructure, algae which can be used to make biodegradable plastics, power barges, marine research, port supply chain, shipping. I come from the logistics sector, and 90% of global trade goes by water and sea. 90%, mind you. And the rest is by rail and road. So the cheapest form of surface transport is water. Second is rail, and third is road. Road is the most expensive form of transport. To give you a little idea of what we are in India, our logistics costs in India are almost 17 to 18% of our GDP is the logistics cost in India. And out of that makes us very terribly uncompetitive in the global markets. We need to reduce our global our logistics cost by half, almost to 8 to 9%. That's the prevailing logistic cost in the more developed world. Now, the blue economy, again, there is oil and gas, floating or fixed offshore windmills, waves, and all the same thing again now. So, see, the ocean for food, ocean for energy, the huge deposits of shale gas and gas hydrates and minerals all in the ocean there. So for transportation, like I told you, it's already there. Minerals, ocean for water, ocean for leisure, for tourism, ocean for health. There's a whole field of blue biotech which is coming up. Like seaweeds which can be used for food as well as for health, for the pharmaceutical industry. The disaster, the National Disaster Research found INDRF has been created, not research, sorry, recovery. The blue economy. All the plastic we throw on the earth, anywhere, whether you throw it in the mountains or in the streets of your city where you live, it all ends up in the nalas, in the streams, into the water, and it goes into the river and ends up in the ocean. So there are huge trash pools as big as the state of Texas in the oceans there. And all these are called Gaias. You can see that. There are huge, you can't even imagine those kind of trash collections in the oceans. Now, what do you do? It's a massive exercise because this is getting into our food chain. The fish are eating all these microplastics. Human beings are eating those fish. There have been microplastic vestiges of microplastics being found in our human systems. Even the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of our ocean, our plastics have reached there. It's a very, very scary scenario. And it's what can be done about this? Only we humans can do something about it because we are the cause of it. We are where the origins are. The source of all this trash in the world starts with the human. So it's something like it has to be tapped at the source. if we can't do that, we are heading towards mass extinction. So this is one more definition of the blue economy: for improved livelihoods, jobs, ocean ecosystems. I leave this presentation. I've already sent it to ma'am, and now you can share it with all the students for their reference. There's not much of written matter. I've kept it very simple. There are more images there. So please
Sure, sir. We'll do that. Yeah.
Please do take your time, ma'am, and share it with the students so that they can go through it at their own pace and at their own convenience. So this is where the world is headed for, the blue economy. And that, see, I'll tell you an example here. Just my experience when I was in college, like y'all, and finished my graduation in '82, and looking what the big bad world out there, and what am I gonna do in life, and what. So there were friends of mine who got into software, into IT and software. That point of time, people. And those friends of mine have done extremely well because they got into a sector which was on the upswing, which was just a nascent sunrise sector. So today I would urge all of you students, my friends, that do think and consider a career in the blue economy, because this is a sunrise sector, which this is the future. So please take your time out and do as much research on your own. I am just introducing this subject to you. Please go deeper into it and in your own ways. It's a very multidisciplinary subject. Everything, whether you are a lawyer, whether you have a biotechnology, you have graduated from whichever domain, there is a role for you to play in this emerging blue economy. So please take time to do a deep dive and research this subject. Now, the first few blue bonds, there is a concept of blue bonds, like green bonds, for supporting the sustainable oceans. The mapping the ocean wealth. They say the future of mining. I'm involved with mining logistics, and the future of mining could go into the sea. Everything, because land, there are a lot of pressure on land, because mining on land is causing a lot of pollution. Then the issues of rehabilitation and resettlement of tribal populations which inhabit those lands, deforestation. So there is a huge possibility that, and what we have explored on land is only 30% of the Earth's surface. 70% is down there below water, and there is the amount of wealth, as well as all the things that humans need, which lies down there. And now we have explored space more than what we have explored the underwater domain, and it's worth a while. But mankind has to be very careful when we go beneath the surface of the water. We can't take all the nonsense here which we have done and created and start polluting our oceans, because all the pollution which we did on land has ended up in the ocean. So we can't afford to make this mistake or continue with this mistake. We need to rectify, do a course correction, and there's enough done for all of humanity to live a better life, to make this world a Garden of Eden. Mankind is at a cusp where we can destroy civilization, and we are already in a self-destruct mode. So unless we become aware of where we are going, we are headed for a dead end. So we need to slam down on our brakes, make a lifestyle change, and all those technologies are already there. All those technologies to create a zero pollution world are already exist. They need to be scaled up. They need to find their space. Now we are in a digital economy. Digital is also very much a part of the blue economy, mind you. See, the blue economy, this is the opportunity there in tourism, in fisheries, in protected areas. See, the road to zero emissions, more jobs, more income, and no pollution. This is Gunther Pauli saying it himself. So what we need to do with our startups is upsize them. Scale them. Look at the digital startups. All these unicorns, 48 of them. India Today had a cover story. All started by youngsters like you, out to displace. There's a Israeli friend of mine. I've been to Israel twice, and once in a cybersecurity delegation and once in a homeland security delegation from India. And this friend of mine, Gary Sussman, told me, because he keeps getting these private office wealth office management wealth funds and all to India on an India immersion trip, and I've addressed them for the last 2-3 years. And Gary told me that the top 100 companies of India as they exist in 2020, out of that, 95% of them might not exist in 2030. This is a very profound statement to make, and Gary shared an article with me recently, and I congratulated him for his prophetic statement. A few years ago he had told me this, and I can see that happening. The 2030 top 100 corporates of India could be very, very different to what we have them as of now. So it's a huge opportunity, a big ocean of opportunity opening up for you, for your generation to tap into and build your futures. The access to the sea. We are very fortunate as a nation. India has a coastline of 7,500 kilometers. We are the 14th, 15th largest coastline in the world. There are smaller nations which have bigger coastlines. In fact, the UK and Japan have huge coastlines. Indonesia. The largest coastline in the world is Canada, second followed by Norway. China has double the coastline of India, but what we have, no one else in the world has. We are the only country in the world with an ocean named after it. The Indian Ocean. There's no Chinese Ocean. There's the South China Sea for them. There's no British Ocean. There's no French Ocean, American Ocean, or anything. India is the 5th largest navy in the world, the 7th largest navy in the world. And we are the only country with an ocean named after it. The oldest port in the world was Lothal. The first dockyard in the world is Lothal, which is in Gujarat. So India is really blessed geopolitically with its location on the world. Yesterday I had gone in Delhi. I am in Delhi, and we had gone to meet the chief of the naval staff, Admiral Karambir Singh, and I was so happy seeing a map in his office, a huge wall-sized map of the world, India-centric map of the world, with India right in the center and the Mercator lines emerging out of India. It was a beautiful, one of the finest maps I've ever seen in my life. I was so happy seeing that map. So, see, India is blessed with one of the finest locations in this world, and we have to make the most of it. So these are all the definitions of the book to give you how do we reduce our logistics cost. Coming from logistics. See, this is to give you a live example of what is possible in India, right? See, all the cargoes from North India, which is landlocked. So India has 9 coastal states. For those of you my students' friends, India has 9 coastal states, right from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala on the west coast, and there's Tamil Nadu, then Andhra, Orissa, Bengal, and the Andamans and Nicobar Islands and all. So we have 9 coastal states in India, and India is blessed with a coastline of 7,516 kilometers, to be precise. 20% of India's coastline is Gujarat alone. We are very fortunate. I always say that. As a nation today, we are fortunate that we have a prime minister from a coastal state. Till date, we have always had prime ministers from the northern landlocked states of India, generally mostly UP and they're from, and they have a very different view of the world. A person who comes from the north is just obsessed with the north of India, which is Pakistan in the northwest and China in the northeast. But if you turn around and see the world in a different perspective, look at the ocean. India, there's an ocean of opportunity for us there. And a person from, just imagine a prime minister from Calcutta or from Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Karnataka or Oriya, he would have a very different view of the world, a very different view of India. India has a maritime heritage and culture of 7,000 years. The oldest port in the world was built almost 7,000 years ago, Lothar, which is in Gujarat. Maharashtra has a coastline of 10% of the total coastline. And Maharashtra, MRC and Commander Das was asked to submit a report, and he was part of the steering committee. Maharashtra has just set up ocean universities in the process of setting up the first ocean university in India. It's called the Maharashtra Ocean University to wake up to our oceans. We need to be there are allegations that India is sea blind. We don't have a sea consciousness. We need to wake up. I put it in a very lighter vein. Just imagine we have this song from Bollywood where Amir Khan is quoting, I think, Rani Mukherjee in that song, and he's saying, "Aati kya Khandala." I mean, we are in Pune. Khandala is midway between Bombay, Pune, and there's this young boy from Bombay who's telling his girlfriend, "Let's go to the mountains." In fact, Bombay is a city on the ocean front. He should be telling her, "Let's go to, come, I'll take you sailing to Elephanta or to Goa or to Ratnagiri or somewhere else, But he wants to take her into the mountains. This is symbolic of what our culture is. We are a subcontinent, yes. And unfortunately, we have become we have developed a continental mindset. Whereas being a maritime nation, we should also have a maritime culture. Unfortunately, we've lost it. There's another friend of mine, a journalist friend, who gave this example. I just met him yesterday. He's from India today, Mr. Sandeep Pongitar. And he said in one of our MRC webinars that, India is like those bodybuilders, so many of them in India, which you see, they go around flexing their muscles and developing only the upper part of the body. The torso and the arms and the shoulders and not just the muscles because they are visible. And they've wasted their legs. Actually, the legs are the biggest muscle in the body. And if you don't exercise your legs, which is the biggest muscle in your body, you will be a body with very weak legs. And India has lost its sea legs in that sense. So we need to develop our biggest muscle, which is our maritime culture, and build those ocean legs, because we are having this huge Chinese incursion on our borders in Tibet and those mountains there. The Chinese have an advantage in the mountains because they are on higher ground. We are on the lower ground. But India has a huge advantage in the ocean. So we have to use this leverage. All the sea lines of communication, China's all the energy supplies and all the exports. 50% of the energy supply of the world is going to the Indian Ocean. 70% of global cargo is going to the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean is on a boil. It's literally, it's called, there's another friend of mine who wrote this book, The Ocean of Churn, the Indian Ocean. 100 years ago, the person who shaped and formulated American marine, naval doctrine, Admiral Alfred Thurman, has said the Indian Ocean is the key to success in the 21st century, and whoever controls the Indian Ocean is going to control the world and gonna be be the power which controls the world. So here I was telling you about the northern landlocked states of India. So if they have to export today, 70% of Indian export cargo is routed out of JNPT, which is Bombay, and they all get hubbed into Bombay and go by feeder routes into Sri Lanka, into Colombo. You can see that here, and then to the rest of the world, or they get hubbed into Singapore, and then they are fed into the east coast of the US, or all the countries of Southeast Asia, Japan, South Korea, and all those geographies of the world. We are spending a huge amount with cargoes going out of Bombay. Those cargoes can be hubbed in Nagpur, and all our rivers are flowing. Most of the rivers, the big rivers of India, are flowing from west to east, except two rivers in central India, the Narmada and the Tapi, which flow westwards. Most of our rivers, right from the Kaveri to the Krishna Godavari to the Mahanadi to all the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, they all flow into the east. So the eastern coast of India is very, very fertile. There is a lot of scope to move cargo. We have never used our rivers. It's the first time in India now that India is on the verge of opening up 20,000 kilometers of national waterways. Like we have national highways, we're going to have 20,000 kilometers of national waterways which are going to be opened up for cargo as well as passenger transport. So we're going to have a maze of connected rivers taking cargo into the eastern ports. And from there, if we run a feeder line from Chennai into Chittagong and then feed it into Singapore, it'll be fantastic. So the whole east coast can be covered like this. We could hub our cargo on the west coast into Tuticorin. And today, Colombo is bigger than all the 12 major ports of India put together. It handles more cargo. But remember, that's a transshipment port. It's not the economy of Sri Lanka which generates this cargo. It's our cargoes today, unfortunately, are going into other ports and they increase the cost for India. We have never used our waterways, our inland waterways. So there is definitely this is doable. The national waterway number 1 is the Ganga, and trial runs have already been done. Maersk moved some cargoes on the Ganga. The national waterway number 2, the whole northeast. The northeast, the 7 sisters of the northeast, Bengal and Bangladesh, can be a very integral. Once upon a time, during the British Raj, there was a lot of cargo going by the river systems. Today, we are back. We have signed interwater treaties with Bangladesh to move cargo right into Dhubri, which is almost 1,000 kilometers inland on the Brahmaputra. So all this is possible now. And this opens up huge opportunities for dredging, because these rivers, to be kept navigable, need to be dredged almost 5 meters to move barges and transport craft vessels on the rivers. So you can imagine the opportunities. There are 2,000 river ports which are being planned within continental India. The government, you can refer this, the Inland Water Transport Body. So there's massive capacity building being done in these sectors. So I would urge all of you to look into these opportunities and build your careers. You have a great future ahead if you seek opportunities in the blue economy. To flourish the blue economy needs, there's one more way of looking at the blue economy. That it's a US $24 trillion opportunity. Just check the size of this. The Seychelles model. The Seychelles, as you know, is a very beautiful, idyllic island nation in the Indian Ocean, very close to Mauritius. And there are a lot of people of Indian origins there in Seychelles and in Mauritius. In fact, when I went to Mauritius, I was very happy. There is a language which they call Creole in Mauritius, and Mauritius is, and Creole actually is Bhojpuri. Bhojpuri. Most of the citizens of Mauritius and Seychelles are people of Indian origin who were taken there as plantation labor, and most of them draw their origins to Bhojpur, which is a part of Bihar, UP, Eastern UP, and they can trace their roots there. So Creole is Bhojpuri. And Seychelles was the first country in the world to come up with the sovereign blue bonds. How to create, in fact, there's another example there, the Maldives, which President Nasheed, I think, if I remember rightly, held a parliamentary meeting under the ocean there it was just symbolic, to tell the world that the Maldives may not exist. They could be drowned by global warming, by the rising of the seas, the oceans. So the Maldives, we could lose the Maldives, and if the Maldives are lost, I think India might lose Lakshadweep also. So this is a real, palpable threat out there caused by us human beings. So what do we need to do? This is a declaration of the Sustainable Blue Economy Financial Principles of the United Nations. It started with COP3, then Gunther Pauli proposed this concept of blue economy. Then it went to COP25, COP26 recently, and now the United Nations has said the oceans are so important for the sustainability of human life that if the oceans don't exist, we won't exist. And all this pollution is causing acidification of the ocean. Recently, I would urge you to see this the documentaries on Netflix also. They're called Connected. And there are 4 of them there. It's a series. The first one is on surveillance. Second was on poop, human poop. All the human shit ends up in the ocean, and it contains, they showed a water sample from the London Thames. All the sewage of raw sewage, which sometimes leaks. They do process it, but then it leaks sometimes into the Thames. And on the weekend, you can see how much of cocaine consumption is there in the Thames. The people of London are consuming how much cocaine, and there's a spike on the weekend. So it was very interesting. I would urge you to see this documentary, Connected, on Netflix. So the blue economy is a very sustainable way of life, where we reduce the pollution, use the water resources of the world for transport, for tidal energy, for minerals, for seaweed farming, for fisheries. There's so many ways. And it's so important that we maintain the temperature of the world within 2 degrees. That is part of the sustainability development goals of the world, that the temperature of the world should be maintained within 2 degrees of what it was when the Industrial Revolution started. So the baseline they are considering is, the Industrial Revolution started with the steam engine in 1712. Actually, that is when the Industrial Revolution started. But the baseline temperatures are being taken as those between 1850 to 1900, because that is when the world was a far cooler place. I remember I grew up in Pune, so till the late 80s, we never had fans in our house. I still don't like a fan. It is the people from Bombay who like fans. People in Pune don't like fans, because Pune, even today, I'm in Delhi. When I landed in Delhi the day before, the temperature of Delhi at 10 in the night was 33 degrees temperature. I'm sure even the day temperature of Pune today is not 33 degrees. So, Pune is an air-conditioned city, and we never had fans until the 80s in Pune. Even today in summer, you'd hardly need AC for a month and a half or something like that. So, but that is Pune after so much of deforestation. All the mountains around Pune have been deforested and denuded. We need to plant. Recently I heard a statistics that for every citizen of Pune, we have 1.3 trees, 1.3 tree for every citizen of India, whereas it should be at least 7 to 8 trees for every citizen of Pune. That is the forest cover we need to have. So I urge you again, once again, to plant, every one of you to plant at least 7, 8 trees, or not like plant the number of trees. How, if you are 23 years old, plant 23 trees every year. This year I myself went and dug holes and planted 50 trees in the beginning of the monsoon. So please do, and make sure that you don't litter the place, you don't dirty the place. We need to keep our environments. So much of our illness and disease is caused by all the plastic and all the dirt we throw, because that doesn't ever degrade. They say plastic as it exists today might take 700 years to degrade, or might never ever degrade. So the blue economy gives us, recently you must have seen that example of Cristiano Ronaldo, took the Coca-Cola bottle out of, during a press conference, and the shares of Coca-Cola fell by almost 3 to 5% in the next 2 days. So we need to be more healthy. It was just symbolic. Cristiano Ronaldo's action of moving Coke and saying aqua and water, and it was promoting a healthy lifestyle. So Coke is out, plastic is out. I mean, I do drink Coke once in a while. I don't say stop drinking Coke, but do be mindful. So the ocean frontiers onward, leaders in ocean stewardship and the new blue economy. We all need to protect our oceans and be aware of them. So we need all hands on deck, all of us. We all can't say that, what can I do? My contribution is hardly anything. I don't matter. There are 7 billion people in the world, and we all have to do collectively. But yes, we all can clean up our neighborhoods. We can do, at home. I live in a house where we grow our own food at home. We make sure that nothing except then the plastic packaging goes out of the compound. Rest of it, all the organic thing, we compost it and make manure, and we're growing really. My daughter is a proponent, for organic farming, and we grow a lot of produce at home. I know of an organization in Pune which puts up, beds on the terrace. These are soil beds, 5 by 10, and they ask for 4,000 rupees, and you can grow. There's no capital cost, only 4,000 rupees a month for a bed, and they give you a choice of 14 crops which you can grow on your terrace. Vegetables you can grow. So there are these organizations. There are a lot of people doing a lot of good things about this. So we all need to reduce our carbon footprint and lead a more healthy lifestyle. This is the future. Green bonds, blue bonds, nature bonds. It's already underway, and there's trillions of dollars of money all lined up to clean up the earth. So that's where the opportunity is. There are bonds for ponds. As part of the Maritime Research Center, we did a sedimentation analysis, a study of the CocaCola Lake, which is where the water of Pune city, the drinking water is coming. Now, we don't know that 50% of CocaCola Lake is silted. It's almost 500 square kilometers of silt, of 4 to 5 meters of silt there. Now that reduces the capacity of the dam to store water during the monsoon, because you have to let go of the excess water. And in summer, when we need it, we don't have as much water, because half of the space there below the surface is occupied by silt. Now what do you do with this silt? So we did a sedimentation analysis just as an exercise, and NDA was kind enough to give us the boats, and so that report is ready, and This, you can imagine all the dams. So many of our dams are more than 100 years old. They are all silted. Now there is a huge opportunity there. How do you deal with this silt? There are many ways to deal. The silt is the most fertile part, the topsoil of all the runoff of all our streams, which ends up in the dams. The life of a dam is determined by the silt which accumulates in the dam. So we need to clean up these dams. That will improve the quality of water, the storage capacity of the dam, increase the life of the dam. Now, there are more than 3,000 big, huge reservoirs in India, lakes and dams in Maharashtra alone, which need to be cleaned up. So there is this concept of bonds for ponds. Recently, we have tied up with the Jain University in Bangalore to work on the water quality management, freshwater systems. The IICT has just recently approved of 10 courses for acoustic capacity. Here, I'd like to tell you everything underwater is sound and sonar. So we need to increase our acoustic capacity to understand the underwater, to do anything underwater, because you can't see there. You are blind. So it is by sound waves and sonar. Even the mammals, all the sea mammals and even the freshwater mammals there, like the Ganga dolphin or the Irrawaddy dolphin or the Brahmaputra Indus, they all sense and navigate the underwater using sonar. So we just recently, the MRC has played a very pioneering role in getting 10 courses approved by AICT. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Yojana has also approved of certain thing for skilling. We have signed up with the National Skill Development Corporation to build centers of excellence in India for skilling in the underwater domain. So here, there is this concept of the circular economy, where we reduce our consumption and our consumptive lifestyles, reuse, repair, and refuse. So we need to build a circular economy. I mean, human beings, the blue economy is a circular economy. And even today, our brown economy going into green, we have to make it circular. We need to repair, refuse, recycle, reduce, reuse, everything. This whole Western lifestyle of use and throw is not sustainable, is not at all a model for the world to follow. Now, here I would like to talk to you about the IORA, the Indian Ocean Rim Association. India has taken a very prominent role in setting up the Indian Ocean Rim Association, right from South Africa. In fact, Gunther Pauli is a resident of Japan and spends a lot of time in South Africa. I'd just like to share that trivia with you here. The blue economy using the IORA is all those countries, there are almost 44 countries along the Indian Ocean Rim, 44 plus maybe, because I'm excluding Pakistan, which is not part of the IORA. And if we, if you I've heard of this term called the PAC Rim, the Pacific Rim countries. There's so much of trade happening between the Pacific Rim. The North Atlantic, the NATO, America and the Europeans used to refer to it as their pond. So I think the Indian Ocean should be our lotus pool. There's huge opportunities for trade. There are more than 3 million people of Indian origin in South Africa alone. There's a huge Gujarati diaspora in Kenya, Tanzania. In fact, when I went to climb Kilimanjaro, the Maasai guide who came to receive me at Nairobi International Airport said, "Namaste, aap India se aaye?" I said, "Yes, namaste." And I was wondering how he knew Hindi. But then later on our way to the hotel, he asked me, "Tame saved dhokla, save gatia khaso, dhokla, laddu." So I was wondering how this Masai has picked up Gujarati. So he was telling me my landlady in Nairobi is a Gujarati and I speak. So the whole tourism in actually in Kenya, Tanzania is controlled by Gujaratis. And they've been there for 3, 4 generations thanks to the British who took them there as traders and not ticket collectors and railway clerks and a whole lot of things. But now they have branched off into business and control the blue economy there. So, but these are coastal countries, and it's cheaper to send a container from Chennai to Port Elizabeth, which is the tip of South Africa, and from Chennai to Melbourne in Australia, than to move it from Chennai to Delhi. Can you believe this? This is how expensive it is. It's cheaper because on a container, a ship, you can send 20,000 containers. The big mother vessels can carry 20,000 containers. On a truck, you can send only one container. On a trailer, you can send 2 containers. On a train, you can send 40 containers. If you double stack it, which we have run those trains recently, 80 containers. So it's cheaper to move cargo by sea and water. Much, much cheaper. So more good is equal to the blue economy. So here the recycling, you must have seen this symbol of recycling, wind power. So this is a big, huge revolution in the making now. You youngsters are lucky that you're going to start your careers and could build your careers using this blue revolution. Now all this fintech now reduces paper. The Chinese were the first people to make paper. Paper was a Chinese invention, and now recently they have made paper out of limestone. But today you don't need so much of paper if you are using digital technologies. I was there in the defense ministry yesterday, and they're moving to a paperless office. A lot of government offices are moving to paperless, and so many companies are moving to paperless. So fintech, because it's all part of the blue digital economy. Blue green is the color of the world, and we need to all of us enter into a pact where we reduce our carbon footprint for everything. There are apps available, and there's this girl, a very young girl who works with us, Prachi Shegawkar, who's come up with an app where you can maintain your carbon footprint. No, you can measure your carbon footprint. So these are the container ships. See all the undersea cables, all the currents in the ocean, everything, all the, like they say, like all the cargo, all the data we store in the cloud is not up in the cloud there. It is down in the ocean, in all those undersea cables and all the data centers on the ground. Actually, the data is not stored in the cloud, but on the ground. This is the map of the exclusive economic zone of India, which is almost 60% of our territory. And this is where India has the rights to everything that exists underwater there, right up to into the seabed and into all the minerals of the seabed. It has got, this is called the exclusive economic zone of India. So this is the map, and this is purely Indian. Now the Chinese have already started seabed mining in one of the blocks they have got in the Western Indian Ocean. India has also got a block we have yet to get started. So, but there is huge amount of shale gas in the Bay of Bengal, all the gas hydrates there, all the minerals, everything. This is our wealth, and all the mining it's becoming very difficult now to mine on land, and mining could go down into the ocean here, in this part of our oceans, the continental shelf. See, this is that great Pacific garbage patch I was talking about. You just see the size of the garbage patch. And these are satellite photographs, there are satellite images available of this. Just imagine the size. It's as big as the US. And all this harm has been caused by we human beings. I would end on this very happy picture here. See, we need to keep our shores clean so that we can enjoy the beaches and places like Goa and Ratnagiri and Dapoli and all those beautiful beaches of Kerala and the Andamans and Nicobar. But this plastic which this lady is holding needs to be recycled. We can't allow it. All the fishing nets, all that, we just dumping it into the sea, which is causing huge amount of problems for sea life. You must have seen photographs of turtles. There have been 80 beachings of big whales on the on the coast of Maharashtra in the last few years, in 1 year alone. Now, if the apex predator in the ocean dies, nothing in the ocean will survive. And I would urge you to see this movie, Spirity on Netflix. It's a beautiful documentary which shows very vividly. It's very cruel also what we are doing in the seas and the oceans and all that. It's a very ugly side of mankind. So I would urge you to see this movie and wake up to our ocean. On that note, I would end my presentation, and we are available to try and answer all the questions you can feel. Like whatever, all the questions you pose, please go ahead. Is this okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
I would like it to be more interactive, I think, then.
Yes, sir, but this platform doesn't allow us to interact. However, students has written questions in the chat box that I'm asking to you directly.
Okay, ma'am.
Sir, so first question from one of the student is, do you think the next sunrise sector and the development of India is related with blue economy?
Yes, I firmly believe it. And I would urge all of you to please delve deeper, because 1 hour 15 minutes is very short time to deal and explain to you the depth of this subject. It is too huge a subject. So you need to do a deep dive, and on your own, I just introduced the subject to you.
Right.
I firmly yes. Recently the Prime Minister made. India is the chair for the United Nations Security Council, and the Prime Minister just a few days back made a whole presentation on the maritime opportunities. The Sagar vision of the Prime Minister. Sagar is an acronym which our Prime Minister has coined. It means security and growth for all in the region. SAGAR, security and growth for all in the region. And the region which he is referring to is the Indian Ocean region, the IORA, like I mentioned.
Right, sir.
So please do dive deeper into this subject. I would urge that student who has asked this question, yes, I bet my full career on this, and I know one of my dreams is like, unless India becomes a Samudra Bharat, we cannot become a Samruddha Bharat. So that means unless India becomes an ocean-going, ocean-facing country, we cannot become a prosperous country. Because whether we like it or not, 90% of global trade goes by sea. 80% of the population of the world lives within 200 nautical miles of the sea or access to the sea. And 70% of the world is the ocean. So it is called the 70-80-90 principle. 70% ocean, water, 80% of the population within 200 nautical miles of the ocean, and 90% of global trade goes by sea. So that is one of the reasons why a tiny country like India, UK, came and dominated a subcontinent like us, India. So because the British understand, Britannia ruled the waves, and that is how the British Empire was built, where the sun never set on the British Empire. And America today is the largest, most powerful navy in the world. Yes, now the Chinese recently have got into the game and built a bigger navy than the Americans. But yes, the Americans still have the qualitatively an edge over the Chinese. But India has to wake up to its ocean, and the opportunity lies in the Indian Ocean.
So the next question is, how can a sustainable blue economy contribute to a green recovery?
No, please understand that we are in a brown economy, so to say, moving to a green economy, where green economy is about reducing pollution. No, the blue economy is beyond the green. The blue economy is about zero pollution. It is about technologies where we use hydrogen and tidal, solar. Solar is all green, more verging onto the blue, where there is zero pollution. See, electric vehicles. India is already declared that by 2030 you can't sell a petrol diesel car in India. So the whole automobile industry is in a churn, moving towards electric vehicles and a zero pollution economy. So the blue economy is about zero pollution. Green is less pollution. So from brown to green to blue, that is the journey which India hopes to become the EV, electric vehicle hub of the world. We are the third largest automobile market in the world, and we want to become the electric vehicle hub of the world. So the future is all zero pollution, battery technology, storage batteries, because electricity is not, we are not able to store electricity. So that is how the transition is going to be from brown to green to blue.
Right. Sir, what are the career opportunities according to you for management students in this sector?
Well, like I mentioned in my presentation, the blue economy is a multidisciplinary economy. I mean, it's like even today there is the laws for maritime, for insurance. No, recently MRC's paper was accepted and sent to the International Maritime Organization on how to reduce the underwater radiated noise, which is affecting. See, sound travels 5 times faster underwater than in air. So all the sound pollution we make underwater is causing a lot of harm and causing the acoustic degradation of the underwater. Now just imagine if you are living next to a Ganpati Pandal. You will get disoriented with all the noise. So all the noise pollution we are creating down in the ocean is causing huge harm to all the marine mammals. And if they die, the rest of the whole food chain will collapse if the apex predators die. So we cannot afford this. So how do we regulate noise in the underwater? This paper has been accepted by the International Maritime Organization. And how we regulate the noise. There are more than 1 lakh vessels which come into Indian waters every month. How do you regulate the noise? There is a big opportunity there. Because like you have pollution under control certificate, PUC, when you buy a vehicle. Now we have proposed that the government of India can charge a sound pollution certificate for every vessel which enters Indian waters, because now the European Union has already regulated that the sound pollution decibel, how much of the thresholds you can have in their waters. Now our ships and our fleets will be subjected to those norms if we don't come up with our. So the tropical waters are very different to the temperate waters. So we need to create policy for our waters, and that's what the MRC proposed, and it was sent as an India paper, and the International Maritime Organization has already accepted it. So there is opportunities on how to reduce the sonic signature of all the vessels, how they should be built.
Right.
So these are the fisheries. Now, if the fish stock dies, just imagine what happens. Because all this noise is going to create problems. So unless we understand and study noise, not noise but sound, how do you regulate it? And that is what all these acoustic capacity building tools, courses have been approved by AICT are for. So there is a tremendous opportunity. It's an ocean of opportunity for all you students. And irrespective of which discipline you come from, whether you've done your B Farm or management students, or medicine, or law, or pharma, everywhere there is opportunity. Please go and read about the blue economy. how it applies to your domain or what you have studied for your graduation. And just imagine if these 20,000 kilometers of waterways are coastal waters we have never used for transport. Now we are on the Konkan railway, we are putting a truck on the railway. But why do you need to put out? There are rolling vessels being introduced now. You can take a truck, you can drive in your truck on a ship into Bombay and it could sail to Kerala and you can drive out your truck. Those things are already on their way. So if you are in logistics, if you are a managing student in logistics, Goa is building a multimodal logistics hub now in Goa. We have to reduce, India has to reduce its logistics cost by half of 17-18% of our GDP, that is to 8 to 9% of our GDP in the next 10 years. Otherwise, India will not be able to compete with China or with any other nation. We'll become totally uncompetitive. You just imagine the opportunity for management students in just doing this, in reducing the logistics costs using water. So that is the blue economy opportunity for the students, for management.
Right, sir. So one last question. According to you, what should be done to enhance the level of awareness amongst educational institutes specifically? Because the concept is new.
Yeah, the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, has already put out a policy. Just Google the draft Blue Economic Policy of India, and you can download a copy of that. The Government of India is inviting suggestions and inputs from the citizens of India, from everyone in India, on how to shape the Blue Economic Policy of India. It's already out there in the public domain, man. And I mean, all the students, even the faculty, need to understand, and that is why I chose this topic. Right. It's a very nascent subject. Maybe I think I might be the first person talking on the blue economy at an educational institution.
Right, sir. Right.
So you need to make, even the faculties need to understand. Maybe I can arrange next time, if you want, we can arrange a lecture by Dr. Commander Das, on what the underwater domain awareness framework is. If you give me a slot, we can get him also to speak to these students anytime as per your convenience.
Sure. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session. It was the new concept for the students, and I'm sure students would certainly Google today what is blue economy and how it is contributing and what are the career opportunities and so on. And I'm sure that once students will be in campus, we will have again, physical session from you and Das sir also, so that, students have great interaction and learning opportunities in this regard.
Yes, ma'am. I'm always there. I'm on the, you have honored me by putting me on the governing board of the Indus Business School. So I'm I'm there at your disposal anytime. Thank you very much, all you youngsters. I wish you a great career ahead. Great 2 years at Indus Business School, and you're lucky. You are with Indus. It's a very, very, I'm very proud to be associated with the Indus Business School myself, and I welcome you and wish you a great 2 years of lot of learning and education. And I do urge you to please do see these documentaries on Netflix. First one is Connected, and the second one I mentioned was Seaspiracy. Please do see them, and do Google a lot on what all I have said. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Indus Business School.